You are listening to the Brain Based Weight Loss Podcast. This is where you stop fighting your brain and start working with it so that weight loss can finally feel simple, sustainable, and eventually effortless. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 3 of the Brain Based Weight Loss Podcast. I'm your host, certified life and weight loss coach, Dori Sharvit. Tell me if this sounds familiar. It's the middle of the day, you're not hungry, but something stressful just happened. Maybe it's a work email, something on your to-do list that came up, and suddenly you find yourself standing in the kitchen looking for something to eat. It happens so automatically, you know logically that food isn't going to solve your stress or overwhelm, but you still reach for it in the moment for relief. Today, we're going to dive into exactly what's happening in your brain when that occurs, how to get ahead of it before it even starts, and what to do when you're already in it, reaching for the cookie or whatever it is that you're reaching for. Once you understand this and once you have a process for solving it, overwhelm is no longer a problem and you no longer need food to relieve it, to solve for it. So let's start with what overwhelm actually is. Overwhelm is an emotion, and like all emotions, it's created by your thinking. The situation itself, the email, the to-do list, that's not what makes you feel overwhelmed. It's what you're thinking about it that creates the feeling of overwhelm. Now, I want to be really clear here. I'm not saying that life isn't hard. Real things do happen, stressful things happen. But what I am saying is that it's not the situation that creates the overwhelm, it's your reaction to it. And when you understand that, you can actually do something about it. So it's really just taking responsibility for our overwhelm, is another way to say it. So that way, when we are responsible for our overwhelm, we can actually do something about it. And the other thing is, when you're already deep in overwhelm, you can't think your way out of it. So even though it is your thoughts that's creating the overwhelm, trying to change your thinking in that moment when overwhelm is already there doesn't work, as you may have noticed. Your brain is already spinning, and the last thing it can do is think clearly. It can't slow down in that moment to think clearly. That's why you reach for the snack. Your brain wants relief, and it already learned that the snack is going to give it temporary relief. It's going to give it a temporary distraction. But as you know, it doesn't solve for the overwhelm. It's still there even after you have the snack. You still need to get back to work, you need to get back to your clients, you need to get back to your to-do list. So we want to understand why our brains create the overwhelm in the first place, but we also want to have a process to get out ahead of it before it even starts. That way you can prevent it from even happening. And I'm going to give you that process, but I'm also going to give you a process for what to do when you're already in the overwhelm, because even then it's not too late. But of course, we want to get ahead of it before it even starts. And that is what we're going to talk about now. So, why does your brain create the overwhelm in the first place? So, here's what's actually happening. When you have something to do and you don't take action on it right away, your brain tries to solve it by thinking it through. It starts running through the problem in your head over and over again. And because you're not taking action, your brain can't really close the loop. So it just keeps going and it keeps spinning and it keeps cycling through the exact same thoughts. And that looping is what creates the overwhelm. And that's what creates the exhaustion from overwhelm. It's not the task itself that's overwhelming, it's your brain trying to solve the problem without taking any action. I actually have a really good example of this from my own life. I used to get really overwhelmed from unexpected emails at work. Like How dare people email me about something directly related to my job? Of course, I'm kidding, but here's what I would do. I would get the email, I would maybe read it, maybe skim it, and instead of responding, I would just start thinking about it. How am I going to respond to this? What do I need to gather before I can respond? What are they going to think when they read it? How do I word this? All while taking zero action, just thinking. And before I knew it, I would get completely overwhelmed and exhausted, and I hadn't even written a single word. And that is when I would find myself in the kitchen, getting a snack, making a tea, or finding any reason to step away because my brain was desperately looking for relief from that loop that it had created. But the thing is, obviously, the snack didn't solve it, the tea didn't solve it. I was still feeling overwhelmed by the time I got back to my desk because the only thing that closes the loop is action. Your brain doesn't need a snack, it needs to finish whatever that thing is. And that is how you close the loop. It's with action. And I'm going to give you now a really concrete process that you can get started using today. So the rule is simple. It's no thinking without action. No thinking is allowed without taking action. That is it. The moment you notice something could overwhelm you, you get into action immediately. You don't sit with it, you don't think it through first, and you don't wait to feel ready. You just start. Thinking without action is what creates that loop, which is what leads to you getting overwhelmed. Thinking only while taking action helps you build momentum for getting the thing done. And before you have time to think, the thing is already almost done. I even developed a mantra for myself around this to help me with my email overwhelm. And the mantra is don't think, just draft. So as soon as an email comes in, I'm already drafting my response. Before I even read the whole email, before I even skim it, I would read one line at a time and draft as I go. So I would read a line, draft a line, read a line, draft a line. So my reply was already done before I could even start thinking about it. And so there was no chance for overwhelm to set in because I wasn't allowed to think. And if you have missing information that you need to follow up on, you had a concrete next step because you already drafted your email. You know exactly what you need to follow up on. And then from there, you just go and you get the info that you need from so and so. When your next step is clear, there's literally no room for overwhelm. And the result was honestly incredible. My workday became the easiest thing ever. I stopped dreading my inbox. I stopped feeling exhausted by things that used to completely derail me. Like, honestly, the overwhelm just stopped. And whenever it crept back in, whenever I would feel overwhelmed all of a sudden, and sometimes it did, it was always because I had forgotten my rule. I had allowed myself to think without taking action. And I would just redirect myself like, oh, whoops, I let myself think, my bad. So, whatever it is that tends to overwhelm you, if it's emails, phone calls, a big to do list, ask yourself what is the smallest possible action I can take right now, and then go do that. Before you even think, just start. Just get that action behind you. And you might be thinking, but what if I don't have all the pieces yet? What if I don't know exactly how this is going to go? I'm not ready. So here's the thing, you don't need all of the pieces before you get started. That's actually the opposite of how it works. You don't want to wait for clarity and then take action. You want to take action and then the clarity comes. The pieces reveal themselves as you go, and they will never reveal themselves while you're just sitting there thinking about it. For example, like, have you ever put off an email and then when you finally get to it, you realize there's some information that you're missing, information that you could have had by now if you had just done it sooner, and now you've added a whole new layer of stress and on top of your overwhelm that you were already feeling. That's why the barrier to entry, the barrier to starting, needs to be as low as possible. You don't need to know all of the steps. You just need to know the first one, honestly, just one, and keep repeating that process until you finish the task. This is how you keep overwhelm at bay. Okay, so that is the process for preventing overwhelm. But now we're going to talk about what do you do when you're already in it? You're already in the overwhelm, it's already spinning. You forgot to get out of ahead of it. You're already in the kitchen. You're already reaching for a cookie. So, first step is to just notice it. Don't judge it. Don't make it mean anything. Just name what's happening. I'm overwhelmed right now and I want to eat. That pause, even just that second of awareness, is everything because it takes you out of autopilot and it puts you back in the driver's seat. And from there, you want to remind yourself your brain wants relief from the overwhelm. And your brain learned that food gives it that relief, even though it's temporary. But now you know that action is what actually gives you true relief because action is what closes that loop. And then go take that action. Ask yourself, what is the very first step that I need to take? And do that. And do it as quickly as possible. Don't put it off at all because this is what is going to give you that true relief. So here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. Eating when you're overwhelmed has nothing to do with the food. It's just your brain doing what it knows to get you relief. But now you have a process that creates true relief. Remember, overwhelm is a loop, and action is what closes that loop, not food. So the next time you feel overwhelm creeping in, remember the rule: no thinking without action. You can even have it as a mantra for yourself. Don't think, just draft. Don't think, just fill in the blank, whatever it is that works for you. Ask yourself, what is the smallest first step that I can take? And just take that step as quickly as possible before you have a chance to think. And if you find yourself already in the kitchen, that's okay too. Just notice it, name it. I'm overwhelmed right now and I want to eat. Remind yourself what your brain is actually looking for, which is relief, and give it that true relief it actually wants with action, not with food. Okay, that is it for today's episode. Have an amazing week. If you keep thinking, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it, start with my free training. It's called Why Knowing What to Do Isn't Enough for Lasting Weight Loss. You can watch it at loseitwithdory.com/free-training. And if you want personalized one-on-one support, you can book a free consult. Go to loseitwithdory.com and click book a free consult. Lastly, if you're enjoying this podcast, leaving a review helps more people find it, and I would so much appreciate it. I'm so glad you're here, and have an amazing week.